Okay, hello. Microphone, am I on? There we are. Okay. We will go ahead and, thank you, open our meeting tonight. It is 6:31. One second, there we go. Okay, and we can do a roll call and excused absences. Item number 2, we'll start on this side.
Terry Hines here.
Zadad here.
Jacqueline Garcia here.
Jennifer Grieve.
Maria Fishback.
Ryan Thompson.
Allison Beaver.
And if we can make a motion to excuse Ms. Weimer.
I make a motion to excuse Ms. Weimer's absence.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Okay. I did email Ms. Weimer that it was her turn to choose for item number 3, invocation or moment of silence, but she's not here. Mr. Hines, you usually have one ready to go. Are you? Okay, go for it.
All right, if you don't mind, we'll just stand up and say a praise right quick, and we'll work our way to the Pledge of Allegiance. So, God, we sure do thank you so much for this beautiful, wonderful day. We are certainly appreciative of the opportunity to gather here and do our community's work, and we hope that we each thought, each word, each statement that we take tonight is in your name, something you'll be proud of, and only in the best interest of our community as a whole. We want to wrap our arms and your arms around the folks that have been affected by Hurricane Helene and the ones in Florida that are now being affected one more time by a massive hurricane. Our prayers and our hearts go out to each and every one of those people over there affected. Thank you for everything that you do, and thank you for blessing us. Amen. I pledge allegiance.
Yes, please. Yep.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you. And tonight it looks like we have 3 public hearings. Let's see really quick. I did have a request from the audience to move item number 8D, the sign program. We still have a little bit of time, so I've never had to move that around. So can I open 5A, 5B, and C, and then depending on the time, because I was going to watch my clock and then. Item 8D. Yes, item 8D, which is the sign program. At any point, like, do I have to keep it in categories? No. Okay, perfect. Time is 6:34. Let's see if we can get through a couple public hearings, and then we'll move on to action items. Okay. Item 5A is to conduct a public hearing regarding a conditional use permit, a CUP, request to allow an accessory living quarter use in a manufactured home district, MH1, for certain real property located at 432 Tolly Road, legally described as Raby Estates Lot 1, 1.93 acres. Ms. Lindsay.
Good evening, Commissioners. This request will look very familiar to you. So this is for 432 Tolly Road. It is a conditional use permit for an accessory living quarters. So this property is located within the MH or manufactured home residential zoning district. All immediate neighboring properties, bless you, are located within the SF2 zoning district, and properties further north and south being within the Cibolo's ETJ. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit for accessory living quarters, which would apply to their existing 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom structure that does not have a kitchen. This would allow them to place a new manufactured home on the property. So the applicant previously requested a CUP to allow the placement of a manufactured home in the SF2 zoning district. That was denied in November 2023. by City Council, and the council directed them to apply for a zone change to the MH1 zoning district, which was approved in January 2024. It was staff's understanding at the time that the initial request for the manufactured home was to replace the existing manufactured home on the property. The applicant did not communicate or clarify their intent to retain the existing structure while adding a new manufactured home, despite staff's repeated statements during multiple rounds of meetings and public hearings that of which the applicant attended, that one dwelling unit would be permitted on the property. It was only when the applicant began applying for permits that this miscommunication came to light. Notice was published in the Seguin Gazette on September 22nd. Individual letters were sent by mail to 11 property owners within 200 feet of the site, and to date, staff has not received any responses in favor or opposed. Public hearings are scheduled for this evening on October 29th at the City Council meeting, with the approval or disapproval of the ordinance being scheduled for November 12th. If you have any questions, staff and the applicant are here.
Thank you. Commissioners, do we have any questions for staff? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing for item 5A. The time is 6:37. Do we have anyone here to speak on this item from the audience? No? Oh, yes. Yep. And if you could just state your name so Ms. Val can hear you.
Yes, good evening. My name is Natalia Padilla, and I'd like to speak on behalf of my dad, if that's okay. Okay. I just want to clarify that the structure that's on the property as of now, the 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom, was built on the property back in 2013. And at the time, the advice that was given by the county was that the property was not yet in the city of Cibolo, and that we wouldn't, or there would be no need to apply for any permits or inspections from the city of Cibolo. Even on the property's plat, the map of the property, it indicates that it stated back in 2013, I believe, which was when the structure was built, and it indicates that the property was not within the city of Cibolo. So we were under the understanding, I guess you could say, that we wouldn't need to apply for any additional permits for the existing 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom structure that's on the property, in addition to placing the manufactured home, which we had to rezone the property for. But if you guys have any questions, I'm glad to answer.
Definitely, we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, if there is anyone else to speak on this item, please come forward. Okay, I will go ahead and close the public hearing for item 5A at 6:39. And we will move on to item 5B, which is to conduct a public hearing regarding a comprehensive sign program application for certain real property located at 112. Now, Mr. Hines or someone who's been here a while, is it Rodeo or Rodeo? How does Cibolo say it? Rodeo. Okay, Rodeo Way, legally described as Cibolo Valley Ranch, number 1, block 6, lot 62R, 0.59 acres. Ms. Lindsay.
Hello. This is another one that will look very familiar to you. So this is a sign program for the scooters at 112 Rodeo Way. It is represented by Larry Gottsman with Aetna Sign Group. So this was located in the Cibolo Valley Ranch commercial subdivision. It is zoned C1 or neighborhood commercial. It is surrounded by the SF6 zoning district, which is just the Cibolo Valley Ranch residential subdivision. So the applicant is requesting a sign program to allow wall signs for which the combined total square footage would exceed the maximum allowable square footage for a single commercial building and fronting a major arterial street type. This is FM 1103. 2 wall signs totaling 79 square feet were permitted in May 2024. The applicant is requesting additional signage on the facades facing Rodeo Way and internally towards the shopping center, but still visible from FM 1103, doubling the current square footage. Additionally, the applicant is requesting to increase the aggregate square footage of the poster enclosure signs from the allowed 48 to 49.95 square feet. So this request was initially processed as a sign variance due to a miscommunication regarding the number of signs being requested. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended denial for the variance on August 14, 2024. The applicant withdrew their application prior to the subsequent city council meetings to apply for the program, which would allow them to request more signage. I would like to note that in coordination with the city attorney's office, staff is currently working on amending the sign ordinance as the regulations for all wall signs are particularly stringent. Under the proposed amendment, square footage would be calculated per facade visible from the right-of-way rather than based on the total maximum allowed square footage, eliminating the need for a sign program. So the proposed 59 square foot sign would be permitted based on the square footage allowed for the visible facade. However, the 20-foot sign would require further review as it faces the right-of-way nearby and nearby residential properties. Notice was published in the Seguin Gazette on September 22nd, as well as the city website. Eight letters were sent to property owners within 200 feet of the site, and to date, or since posting the agenda, staff has received 2 responses in favor, and we have not received any in opposition. Public hearings are scheduled for this evening, October 29th, and then approval or disapproval of the sign program is scheduled for the November 12th meeting. So if you have any questions, staff and the applicant are here to assist.
Okay, great. Thank you. Commissioners, anything for this public hearing? Okay, go for it.
I just have one quick question, maybe two. I know that we had talked about, the signage and how, it seems to always be an issue, and you had stated several times that it's going to be updated, and I just heard you say once it's updated, it's strict adherence once it gets updated?
Once it gets updated, like this kind of application would not be required because it would allow it. Right now, the applicant is only allowed a certain amount for
Right.
the entire property. So regardless of how many facades are facing a right-of-way, they're only allowed, say, just for example, 60 feet or square feet. But under the new ordinance, it would be 60 per facade.
Okay, and then what they're requesting falls under that, what it's going to be changed to?
I'm sorry?
What they're requesting right now, would that exceed it, or what you're changing it to?
No, it would fall within it since they're allowed, I think the maximum is 80
Okay,
per per facade. So each sign, I think, is about the maximum of one sign is like 59 and then 20 for the other.
okay.
So it's in
And
total.
then it's
the
going to be
total-
changing to 60 per facade, you said?
That was just an example. We're still looking at
Oh,
the
okay.
exact.
All right,
The exact
okay, thank you.
measurements.
Okay. And I think someone else, didn't we have another? Oh,
So, this is a question for the staff, I'm sorry. Question for the staff, I'm sorry. So I'm looking at, staff findings right up top. It says 83.32 square feet is allowed under current ordinance. The 2 proposed signs previously approved signs have a combined total square footage of 79 square feet. The applicant is requesting an additional 79 square feet, which is greater than the allowed maximum 41.66 square feet that's permitted by the sign program.
So under criteria number 4 is for size and height. The sign program can allow for no larger than 50% the maximum size. But if the applicant can cite why they need more than that 50%, then it's at your discretion if you want to approve that.
Okay. So with the new ordinance that we're gonna basically do away with this, right?
We would still have a sign program. It would just apply more towards like
Overall.
commercial complexes, not necessarily singular businesses, because at the time, this currently can apply to singular businesses. Sign programs would be reserved for, say, places like the Buffalo Heights commercial subdivision where there's multiple businesses, and they're going to have multiple signs, so it's to create a more uniform look, whereas scooters on their own, they just need their traditional signage, and that would be covered basically under the standard square footage per facade.
Which promotes their brand and was just approved by their branding of their business and company.
Yes.
My thing is, I don't per se keep going back and forth and back and trying to figure out, is it facade 60 feet or is it going to be this? It's going to be one set that we can go forward, or are we going to always come back? I hate to say always, always, never, never. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So under the current ordinance, so all four sides have to fit inside that maximum allowed square footage. So that, I believe is calculated at 83 square
Right.
feet. That's what's allowed for all four sides. Under the new ordinance, it would be, say, 80 per
Per side.
side.
Which is better.
Yes. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. With that, I will go ahead and open, oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Jeff.
So it seems like there still is a concern, or that staff is still saying that the extra signage isn't necessary. It says that that customers would have seen the existing signage from FM 1103 upon entering their neighborhood, making additional signage unnecessary, and that the angling of the building has potentially made it so that it's a nuisance for residents. That's the same as last time, I believe.
Yes, so
That
I mean,
Are the findings any different, I guess?
the findings are different just because, I mean, I personally drove along FM 1103 and just all these roads just to see where, like, what facades were visible from the right of way. The one that's kind of facing internally towards the actual business center, and it's not really facing anyone, just that
If you're in the parking lot.
if you're in the parking lot, that the parking lot side sign, that facade is highly visible from FM 1103. It's the initial sign that I thought was the sole request, which is facing that Rodeo Way. That one, it is facing the road itself, but it's also facing some of those residences in the back, which is, like I said, it just needs further consideration just because of that.
Yeah. I don't know if this is the right time to make this comment, or if this is for the discussion of the actual item.
Yeah, if you have anything that's pertaining to, like, you're kind of leaning in that area, that we could save it for the action and discussion. Right now, yeah, I think we're trying to just get any questions. Yeah, so I think we're good. So if you have anything else, we can wait, if that's okay? Okay, perfect. Okay. So I will go ahead and open the public hearing. Let me flip back here. For item 5B, and the time is 6:49. Do I have anyone here this evening to speak on item 5B? Yep, please come up, and if you could state your name so they can hear you, please.
Good evening. I'm Larry Gottsman. I'm the president of Aetna Sign Group, and we do signage for scooters across the country. And I appreciate you seeing me early. I have my son and family coming in from Sarasota tonight, so much appreciated. So 1103 has a traffic count of 500,000 cars per month. There are roughly 6 million per year. Small businesses like scooters, that's their most cost-effective form of advertising. And I just came from the location, and the signage is not visible as you're coming. If you're going one way in 1103, it is visible. On the other way, it is not visible. The only thing that's visible is the logo, and no one really has an inkling what the logo is unless they're familiar with the scooters brand. So, and also someone from your staff has talked to one of my staff about helping you guys with your sign code. I chaired the committee that wrote the sign code for San Antonio, Corpus, Austin, El Paso, and Beaumont. So I'm pretty familiar with drafting sign codes and what makes sense for the community and the businesses and the industry. I'm hoping you'll see that this is not a big request for this company that is so proud to be in the city of Cibolo and looks forward to doing a great job of supporting the community and the residents. So any questions, I look forward to.
Okay, thank you, sir. Do we have anyone else to speak on this item? No? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and close item 5B at 6:51. And with that, we're going to go ahead and jump to our discussion action item for Mr. Larry, I'm sorry, forgot your last name. Gottsman. Okay.
Ms. Greaves, the only thing I would suggest is maybe going ahead and doing citizens to be heard in case they wanted to speak on any of the items, and
Okay. Okay, that's fine.
I think there was only.
Yep, that's okay. Okay, so one more moment, Mr. Gottsman. We'll go to item 6, which is citizens to be heard. I do have one person on the sign-in sheet, and I know sometimes we get mixed up on whether they're here for public hearings or citizens to be heard. So we'll go ahead and read it off, and let's hope that it really is citizens to be heard. Okay. This is the only time during the meeting that a citizen can address the commission. It is the opportunity for visitors and guests to address the commission on any issue to include agenda items. All visitors wishing to speak must fill out the sign-in roster prior to the start of the meeting. The commission may not deliberate any non-agenda issue, nor may any action be taken on any non-agenda issue at this time. However, the commission may present any factual response to items brought up by citizens. Attorney General Opinion, JC 0169, limit of 3 minutes each. All remarks shall be addressed to the commission as a body. Remarks may also be addressed to any individual member of the commission, so long as the remarks are about matters of local public concern and not disruptive to the meeting or threatening to the member or any attendee. Any person violating this policy may be requested to leave the meeting, but no person may be requested to leave or forced to leave the meeting because of the viewpoint expressed. This meeting is live streamed. If anyone would like to make comments on any matter regarding the city of Cibolo or an agenda item and have this item read at this meeting, please email psimics, that's CIMICS, at cibolotx.gov or phone at 210-566-6111 before 5 p.m. on the date of the meeting. I'm going to need that in bigger print next time, or I need glasses. Okay, got it. Okay, so I have a Ray Joy fan still. Perfect. Okay, so you're here for the public hearing? Yes, okay. And I know sometimes that's so confusing. So the citizens to be heard is nice because it can be anything in Cibolo. It doesn't even have to be on the agenda. So awesome. Then we will put you down. We'll call on 5C in just a moment. Thank you, sir. Okay, so with that, we will jump to item 8D. So that Mr. Gottsman can get his family from the airport. So we have 8D, discussion and action regarding a comprehensive sign program application for certain real property located at 112 Rodeo Way, legally described as Cibolo Valley Ranch Number 1, Block 6, Lot 62R, 0.59 acres.
Okay, I'll run through the criteria. But first, if your screens are off, there should be a power button at the bottom, I want to say right corner. I'm watching us. Oh. Okay. If it's not showing the packet, I think there's...
Oh, is everybody's screen on but mine? How do I turn it on? Oh, yeah, we were hoping to have, because it's easier for us to...
Yeah. We'll get that up and running.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, so I'll just run through the criteria real quick. We sign programs are subject to review by the Planning and Zoning Commission and approval by City Council. You shall recommend approval, denial, or approval with conditions to any application if you find that it conforms to Section 58-14, items 3 through 7. So for item 3, the design is compatible and it does not conflict with the surrounding area. And it is very much in line with the scooters branding. For item 4, and this is the one that came up earlier during the public hearing, the maximum allowed square footage is 83.32 square feet, and that's for, like I said, all 4 signs that are visible from the right-of-way. So the two proposed signs that were previously approved, or sorry, the two signs that were previously approved equated to 79 square feet. The applicant is asking to double it, basically placing the same signs on just the remaining two sides. So the 59 square foot sign is highly visible from FM 1103. The 20 square foot sign is also visible from Rodeo Way, but that one is the one that is facing the Cibolo Valley Ranch subdivision. And then separately, and this is again part of the sign program request, is section 58-10 allows for poster enclosure signs that do not exceed an aggregated 48 square feet. The applicant is requesting to increase this by 1.95 square feet to allow 6 signs that are standard for scooters, coffee shops. And so the poster enclosure signs are just signs that are allowed without a permit. It's when they change out, like say if they have like a seasonal item. So criteria 5 is not applicable as they do not have any off-site signs. 6 is placement. So as I mentioned, the 59 square foot sign is appropriately placed. And I personally drove along 1103 just to verify that. And then the 20 square foot sign would be placed on a facade facing Rodeo Way in the Cibolo Valley Ranch neighborhood. And as Rodeo Way is the primary access to that neighborhood, it's reasonable to assume that any residents coming from that area would have already seen any of the signage for the structure. And then additionally, given the angle of the building, the proposed additional illuminated signage on that back facade facing the residents may pose as a nuisance. So lastly, the proposed sign integrates well with the design and architecture of the building, and staff has finds no issue with the design or method of mounting. So if you have any questions, staff and the applicant are here to assist.
Okay, thank you. And commissioners, we will go ahead and start on our right with discussion. Mr. Hines, do you have any questions, comments?
I do, thank you. And really what it boils down to, without trying to just sound like I'm opposing an opinion on this, when I drive by the location, the signage that would obviously make sense to me as I'm driving by would be what you're calling, I think it's B. Yes, B, and that faces inside of the site. It faces the other commercial buildings there, and that doesn't comply with our ordinance. And then sign A is the logo, which actually it does comply with our ordinance, but it faces the right-of-way, and that shines back toward homes. And so therein lies my personal conflict, is that I think it's perfectly fine to have the sign facing the other businesses inside of the complex. My concern is, and that was always a concern on the original request to build on this site, was any kind of interruption in the residents using Rodeo Way. So it looks like it's a lighted sign. It looks like the icon would be lighted. Is it constantly on?
Mr. Gottsman, yes, would you like to? You can call him up. Yep.
Lighting that little logo is a problem. I mean, we'll consider putting it up non-illuminated. It's up to you all to decide.
Yeah, it's ready.
The illumination is very low on the logo.
And I understand the menu boards, that's just doing business.
Yeah,
it's helping customers make decisions quickly, quickly.
And Mr. Hines, if I may, we do have lighting standards so that the lights or the illumination is not supposed to go, I think, 1 foot candle off of the property line.
And ours is well below that, by the way.
And there's more illumination from the parking security lights than there is the scooter light. If you, yeah.
Yeah, I'll make sure I call on you.
Okay.
Oops, my microphone wasn't on. Sorry.
So those are my concerns. When we're talking about, or we're asking, we're not calling it a variance, but an adjustment to the sign program. But you are correct. As you're coming to Cibolo from 35, it's a bit difficult to identify your building.
We agree.
Thank you. That's really all it.
We might call you up a couple more times, so just so you know, up and down.
My associate is here who knows a whole lot about scooters.
Gotcha, okay, great. Next,
Didn't have anything.
okay?
I do have a couple of questions for both of you, but also for staff. Now, I do remember when this originally came up, I was against it because it was in the neighborhood, and I believe that it would negatively impact that neighborhood. So my question is, it was approved and the location was placed. Were those signs not addressed in the original?
So only 2 signs have been placed and permitted.
So the 2 signs that they have now is what they requested originally?
That was, no, they, I believe, requested all 4, only 2 were approved.
2 were approved. Okay, and then if you could come back up for me just a moment?
Or
Or
yeah,
whoever,
either.
whoever wants to come back up.
She handles all of the scooters.
Hello.
So I myself am not familiar with the brand of coffee, so I do understand what you're saying. Just that happy face wouldn't tell me what it is. But my question to you, you had stated that there's other locations all around. Are they usually in a subdivision like this, the way this one is located?
So there is one in San Antonio that is right in front of a subdivision, actually. And I know I put another rendering up here on the PowerPoint. There's an Edward Jones actually right across the street from the scooters. And they have a sign currently on the back of the building that is facing that same subdivision as well.
There's also another medical location, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
It's facing both ways. There it is.
But the signage isn't facing the neighborhoods
Edward-
that back up into
The Edward Jones right there is the one on the right side is actually facing directly the houses, whereas ours is a bit of an angle.
There's no way to get that up on our screen? Okay. And you're saying the Edward Jones, which one are you talking about?
Right there on the right-hand side. So that directly faces the neighborhood behind there.
That was probably a misinterpretation or miscommunication, like we've had some of that, because we've asked, I don't know if it's Buffalo Wild Wings, City Vet, we've had people take stuff down, so I wonder if that was something that needs to be addressed.
Illuminated? Because I've driven in and out of that subdivision in the middle of the night, and I've never seen a illuminated sign.
They're both illuminated.
The Edward Jones is illuminated? Yes, okay. No, that's, I'm wondering, it's another one on the list. Staff, if we can find out what happened there. So just so you guys know, that probably shouldn't be there. But, I mean, we'll find out if there was something that we missed. I don't know when that Edward Jones was put in, but there was some, we had some staff overturn and some things.
That's one that predates my tenure. So.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, I think that was something that we found when we found out, like, City Vet and a couple other ones had.
And we did speak with the owners of the coffee shop as well, and they agreed that if we were to not be able to get that specific sign approved, they at least do want to try and get the other side of the building, the one that's facing 1103, because they do understand that your ordinance typically, wouldn't allow that. So we've discussed that with them as well.
Okay.
And I do want to thank you for answering my questions, because what we're faced with is trying to make the best decisions for the citizens of Cibolo. And if for some reason that sign does go up and we approve it, and then it does create a problem for the residents by illumination, because, I know that that coffee shop is open really early and closes earlier than it doesn't stay open till like 8 or 9, but somebody forgets to turn off the light, the sign, and the signage stays up. and it becomes a problem for the neighbors, then we have to go back and try to fix something that basically we created by approving it. So we have to think first of the citizens and see what's in the best interest, because they do have houses that back up into that. And like I stated, I have passed that location in the middle of the night, early in the morning, and I didn't even know there was a sign there. And for a moment, that was my dentist until I went back into San Antonio, and I've never seen those signs illuminated. So I really appreciate your talking to me, because I did have some concerns. So thank you so much for that.
Our signs are all on photo cells, so when it turns dark, they go off. They go on. When it turns light, they go off.
What did you say? I'm sorry.
Photo
Oh,
cells.
no, I'm sorry. These signs are on.
Are they a switch
these
or are
ones
they?
Actually on
These are on
time
time
clocks.
clocks.
These are on time clocks?
Most of
time
ours
clock,
are on photo
okay.
cells. These are on time clocks, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
So again, I agree with most. You should have recognition for your business, right? We do want businesses to come into Cibolo. We do want them to be recognized. We should not have to make them jump through hoops to get the signage that they need. I'm glad that we're finally revising our ordinance, and this will be in compliance with the new one. In the meantime, we have seen so many variance packages, right? And they keep coming. So we need to be consistent also as the commissioners, because we have approved a lot of them and then we don't approve some. I understand the reason for this one because it is backing up to a residential area, but I've driven around at 11 o'clock at night and later, and I don't see the illumination. So I'm wondering, this is a question now to the staff, are we requiring them to, when they shut down, they turn off their lights? I understand not the ones to the street, but at least the ones that face the residences, right? Recently, we approved Pete Terry's, and I drove by late at night one day. They were all off. All the lights were off. The business was closed, and all the lights were off. So I think that as long as that we can get, right, if y'all can agree to, and the city agrees to it, let's just turn them off when your business is closed. Let's just turn them off, and I think we're good. I mean, usually if they're on early in the morning, most of us are up anyway. We're going to work, we're going to school. I don't see how that would be a problem. It's just in the evening, right? If we're talking 10, 11, 12, you know, all the hours of the night, then that would be a problem. But other than that, we need to work with our businesses because we do want them to come in too, right? But yes, I agree, we need to also look out for our residents. But as long as we can get those lights turned off, I think we'd be okay. I think it would work.
And our time clocks are timed to their hours of operation at scooters.
And what are the hours of operations for this particular one? Do we know?
I would have to look it up.
We could probably
I think
Google
they
it.
close like at
I was about to
5
say, I
or
believe
something
they
like
close
that.
at 8.
Oh, at 8?
At 8? Okay.
Is it 6 or 7?
Well, you were looking that up. We will move down to Mr. Thompson. Do you have any questions, staff, or for the applicants or your commissioners?
I think my biggest issue, and it's probably with staff with the turnover, and it sounds like a political answer, that we'll get to it when time permits. And I think I'm getting to the point of wondering when we get all the data of all the businesses who, because I'm gonna foresee, we had Whataburger last month bringing photos of this business is like this business is like this business. And after a while, being a part of the team for 10 months or so, it's like when I first came on board, I'm saying like, we need consistency. So when will we get the consistency so we as a staff team can make sound decisions going forward? Because you're gonna have business owners coming in not wanting to do business because we don't have it right as a community, as a collective. So we have to get that right, and it should be a suspense date, at least very soon, at a high speed of giddy up. Because you want more business to do the comprehensive plan, but if businesses get wind that we continue to misstep, we're doing our community a disservice. So at some point, yes, I understand that our ordinance, my thing is, either we stick to the ordinance or 2024, everyone gets a mulligan.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yep.
Okay. I've got a few. According to the Google, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m.
6 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Every
Thank
day.
you. 7 days a week?
Yep.
Okay.
So, with that in mind, I remembered the 8 p.m. because we were told that last time. And on my way home, all of the signage was lit up, and we were leaving at like 10. So I remember thinking, that's still lit up, and I've driven past there at night, past 8 p.m. a couple of times since then, and it's always been lit. So not sure what the issue is going on there, but it's definitely lit past the 8 p.m. currently. I had written down in my notes basically what Mr. Hines said of 100% agree that the one sign that is facing that one, facing the parking lot, makes sense to get people in. And that, for me, the question of the smiley on the back, it's not adding anything. I heard you even say, like, this isn't how people are gonna know what we are if they're not familiar. So having a lit sign facing the neighborhood that's not adding real value or advertisement, it just doesn't make sense to me. So I think if we could maybe make a modified motion, I don't know how this would look, but to approve.
With conditions, yeah.
With conditions, to approve, the one sign on the parking lot side, and then disapprove the smiley on the back. That would make sense to me. And then I just had one clarification, the additional little signs. There's 3 going on the side that the car's on now, so I'm guessing the other ones would be on the other side to just
Right.
mirror it. Okay, just wanted to make sure that I understood that. Okay, that is all I have.
Okay. And Ms. Hubbard is not seated, so she can't vote, but she can comment and speak because she also does the homework that we do, because you don't know if you're going to be seated. So, Ms. Hubbard, did you have something?
I do. Like I said earlier, the security lights are way brighter than the sign will ever be, and those have to stay on all night for security reasons for the neighborhood. Behind the buildings, there are parking spots, and there are lights back there because of those parking spots for future workers and professionals who are going to be parking their cars back there and want to get to their car safely. So there's tons of lights back there. The second thing is, I live in the neighborhood right there. And I can tell you that the marching band at 6:30 a.m. is way more disturbing than some lights. And that's every morning. Every morning, right on time. The percussions are going every morning. And then we have Thursday night lights, football game. Loud, lights, band, noise, cars, parking, horns, etc. And then it happens again Friday night. And that goes all the way until 10, easy, because I hear it and I can see the lights shining into our neighborhood from the football field. So I really think the little signs are the least of our problems when it comes to the communities that are right there. That's all I have to say.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Hubbard. Okay. So let's see. You answered hours of operation. The question I have is on the poster signs. Am I calling that right? Or calling them that right? Okay. So, and since you are here with information on how to build sign programs, you said throughout Texas. You said throughout Texas, you help city staff and officials come together and build these sign programs. Okay. So, I'd like to pick your brain for 1 second, if we're okay with that. Can you give us a breakdown of why it's important to put these signs into certain parameters, like no more than 60 per square foot. Like where do we get those numbers? 40, 60, 80? Where does HEB get, their size versus, like we were talking, Whataburger gets their size? Do you have any just informative information you could share with us commissioners?
Well, we do HEB signs, so we're familiar with the size and scope of HEB. It really comes down to almost every committee I've served on was 50% homeowners associations and 50% businesses and industry representatives. So it really comes down to what the community wants, okay, and what makes sense for the community. Austin was different than San Antonio, okay? Austin was a little bit more specific on what they wanted as far as size and height than San Antonio. El Paso was even more different, okay? They had some really interesting things in their sign code that our industry did not agree with. But again, it's up to the community, and it's up to the community to work with the industries and the businesses that support the community to determine that. So there's really no set answer to that. That's all I can say from my
Well, that
experience.
is an answer, I think. I mean, as we're always learning and information, I'm just curious what goes into that. When you said it's community-led and driven, is there any statistic or anything that says more signs on the outside of a building bring in crime or bring in less property value or like junk it up? Or is there no cross information? I mean, like, is there anything that, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
It's really about aesthetics and this. I mean, it depends on the road. Okay, the size of sign you need to, size of the letters you need to use to properly address the expressway or the secondary street that the signs are facing. It's just a number of variables, and all of those come into play when we're working with a city about addressing the sign code. And every city has a little bit different scope and how their community is laid out, and we just talk about that when we're serving on the board, addressing the signage needs.
gotcha, okay. Because one of the, and I'm going to circle back to why I asked about the poster signs. Sometimes when I go by a gas station, like if you go by 7-Eleven on 3009, and you see they have all this branding up, poster, 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 stuff slapped on the front, and then they've got their regular sign. To me, it starts looking a little, okay, yeah, tacky is a good word, thank you. So my question, circling back to, I don't know if there's any other businesses, and I don't know if staff or anyone here can help me. Do we have any of those poster signs? Not because I'm saying those look tacky by any means, but because what what we were talking about with setting a precedence and being consistent. So my concern with the poster signs, because it's 6 of them, right? 3 on one side, 3 on another?
Right. And currently, I believe we're only 1 square foot over what would be allowed without a permit.
Without the permit,
So-
okay.
And we had kind of talked about how picky, I guess, the city was going to be on that since it is only 1 square foot. But essentially, they're pre-made, so we couldn't really adjust the sizing on them.
Generic for all your franchises?
Right.
Okay.
But I know that there are kind of like your Starbucks, your Chick-fil-A, as you're driving in on the building, they typically have, like a picture of a drink or a picture of the food, and that's essentially what it would be.
Gotcha.
Like, they have 3 up already, and they're like.
They're framed, yeah. Yeah.
Attached to the structure, right? It's not
Yes.
blowing in the wind like the ones that are
At the gas station.
7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Gotcha, okay, yeah.
Like picture frame, like slide in and out.
Yeah, I see they're attached to the wall. I guess my question is that, again, because we're talking about setting precedents, right, and having consistency, if now every other place that comes in, Whataburger and whatever else, are they all going to want these poster signs, poster signs, poster signs? So now we're driving down a road and we have poster signs everywhere. So I'm just trying to, I know we can't see the future, but trying to think what, when we approve something like this, because other people come back and say, well, so-and-so looks like this and so-and-so looks like this. I just want to make sure we're making a good decision.
Like what they do on, like, the windows. The signs that they post on the windows, right?
Slightly different.
Well,
Ms.
is this what y'all working on with the?
So the ordinance already has a section for signs that are allowed without permits, and so window signs are addressed. They can't be more than 30% of the window. The poster enclosure signs are also included in that. That's where we got that 48 square foot measurement or limit. So other businesses, they will show us the signage and just ask for our general approval before they put it up. So, and this is just one of those cases where, a sign company or a business comes to us and says, hey, we have these or poster enclosure signs. I know I don't need a permit for it, but is this still allowed? And we can tell them yes or no, based on the square footage of all of their displays.
Well, it sounds like something y'all are already looking at addressing, and well, I don't mind conversation and discussion if it's something that y'all are already looking at putting in place, so Whataburger can't have something, McDonald's have something different, 7-Eleven have something different. I think they're already addressing that part.
So, yeah.
Right, but it's, well, it's gonna take a minute, because I think, now I don't know
But
how long that minute
these
gonna
are
be.
existing regulations. That's in section 58-10.
We're talking about.
We were talking about what you're working on.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Do you have some kind of date that
Timeline?
you're looking at?
We don't have a timeline yet,
No.
but we are doing the research and
that's
engaging
what the issue is.
engaging sign companies to help us out as well.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
What I would probably steer us toward, and I can't speak to our Sonics, but I know I see those menu boards at Sonics, whether they're our Sonics or not. And everybody's going to say, oh, it's obvious how many tater tots that man eats. But the, I think it's at Sonics, and so we have those. But I have a question and suggestion, if I could bring this up. Are you through? No, you're good. Okay.
Yep, go ahead, Mr. Hines.
So it's for commission staff, and I'll look at the two of you. Are we better off just hanging on to this? Are the lack of your signs costing you business right now? And we would all be in a better place if we just wait until we have a proper ordinance, proper guidance? Or would you rather just continue so that we can lean more toward allowing, let's just say that we would lean toward allowing the signage that faces the interior of the complex, but not the happy face, that sort of thing? Or maybe we're better off just saying, if you can't open your business because you're having to comply with our ordinance, our sign ordinance, maybe we need to address it then, but you're already in business. So do you think it's costing you customers? And would you lose business if you waited until we come up with a proper ordinance?
I think it depends on how you want to support your business community, quite honestly. Having signs on each side of 1103 is a no-brainer. Having the lit logo on the back, like McDonald's, like Starbucks, like Shell, they're all going to eliminating verbiage and using logos. So is scooters across the country. They would one day just like to have that smiley face and eliminate all the copy on their signs. So that's a very important thing for them. And as was addressed earlier, the parking lot lighting is far brighter than that sign is ever going to be as far as bothering residents. We would really like to keep that logo on the back as well as the other sign that we're requesting, and I don't think it's an unreasonable request.
Can I say something?
Okay, thank you. Oh, yep, Ms.
I
Dodd.
stopped for signs. I didn't know y'all was there because I couldn't see the sign.
Yeah.
But I'm one of those, like, oh, what's that? And based on what she said, who lives in the subdivision or in that area, and if it's not bothering her,
She doesn't live in that subdivision. She
does
lives
that
across.
face you?
No, it doesn't.
Does that bother you?
She doesn't
No,
live in that
she's
subdivision.
saying that,
She doesn't live in that subdivision.
she's saying the band and the lights make more of a nuisance.
Uh-huh.
Because we were talking about it the other day, and we were talking about the band. And so,
Yeah,
And does
okay.
it bother her?
No.
But
Okay. I think we've had enough, and I think we need to make a motion, and I think we're ready to, does anybody have a motion, whether it has conditions, whether you want to,
I'll give it a whirl.
okay, go ahead.
And this is going to be awful. Okay. Help me through it.
So I recommend approval to mayor and council for some of the requested comprehensive sign program for certain real property.
Well, some, so
with-
you want
So with
to,
conditions is what I was,
okay,
so with the, I guess it's without that one smiley on the backside. But
Okay.
approving the 1103, which I think is definitely impacting business.
can we pull up the sign that says like 5A, 5B, or whatever it says? Because that might be easier for you to say
thank you.
approve item or sign.
Sign, yes. Okay.
Sign number,
Okay, so I would love to do that, how you phrased it. Can you repeat it one more time? Sorry.
can you repeat it one more time?
Approving the,
Approving the comprehensive sign. I would like to make a motion to approve the comprehensive sign plan with
With a
the
condition.
condition that I think it's
omitting,
omitting A2? A. Well, there's a, yeah, okay, A, I guess.
Is that right? Staff?
So sign
there's an
A,
A1
sign A
and
is the, if
here.
you look on the map back here, so
Oh,
A
okay.
is the sign that's that smiley face sign that's
Okay,
facing.
omitting A.
The Gs are those poster enclosure signs.
Those
And
ones
then
are
B is the scooters look.
Love it.
Okay,
Omitting A.
okay. Commissioners, we're good on the motion? Are we good on the motion for the legal minutes purposes? Okay. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? We have a motion, we have a second from Ms. Garcia. Oh, hold on. Oh, no, okay. Okay. Yes, yes. Okay, motion and a second. We're going to start down, roll call vote, this side, yea or nay?
Aye.
Nay.
aye.
Hard time. Gosh, I'm just so torn. I guess aye.
Nay.
Aye.
So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ayes, 2 nays? Okay, so motion passes. So I want to let you guys know that this commission is very cautious. We are a small town still growing exponentially fast. We have a lot of infrastructure, we have a lot of turnover, we have a lot of things happening. So we 100% thank you guys for coming and explaining things to us. We hope that you'll be part of maybe helping us redesign some of this or update it. But we all care about Cibolo so much that we want you to know that we just always tend to err on the side of caution, and we do appreciate you guys coming tonight. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just as a reminder that this is a recommendation and it will be heard by,
Yes.
By city council for a
Yes.
final decision.
That's a good point. Yes, yep, thank you. But it does require majority to overturn, so I mean, but it is a recommendation, got it. Okay. Did you count 3 nays? Ms. Val, can we get a recount? I'm so sorry. We have, was there 5 and 2 or 4 and 3?
Thank you, that's what I heard.
Oh, I heard, Mr. Hines, did you say?
Commissioners? You are what? Aye. So was 5 and 2?
Right.
Yeah, we had. Gotcha. Yes. Okay, that's what we wanted to confirm. Okay, thank you. Okay, we will move on to we're going to go back to the public hearings, so thank you all for bearing with us while we skipped around for a minute. Let's go back to the public hearings. We're on item 5C. Conduct a public hearing regarding a conditional use permit, a CUP, request to allow local convenience store with fuel sales larger than 5,000 square foot, use in a general commercial district C4 for certain real property located at 12880 IH10, legally described as ABS 134 Sir Jose Flores, 11.26 acres. Mr. Grant.
Yes, good evening. The owner is Falcon Reg. It is represented by Z & Co. LLC. It is in Council District 7. Per the recently adopted comprehensive plan, it is designated as a future land use category of regional activity center. It is zoned general commercial C4. Again, requested conditional use permit for a local convenience store with fuel sales larger than 5,000 square feet. The applicant property is located within the general commercial C4 zoning district. Most of the neighboring properties are located in the C4 zoning district as well. The neighboring property to the west is located outside city limits in the ETJ, therefore it is not zoned. Again, the applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to develop a local convenience store with fuel sales larger than 5,000 square feet on the property. While a local convenience store with fuel sales is permitted by right at C4 zoned property, per Article 13, UDC Section 6.3 Supplemental Use Regulation states the following: that stores exceeding 5,000 square feet in size do require a conditional use permit for this use. The site plan provided includes a 9,350 square foot structure on the property. Again, therefore, the CUP is required. The applicant's letter of intent, which is attached to the staff report, states that the proposed use includes a fuel station, overnight parking, truck stop, and convenience store offering food and beverage sales. Notice was published within the local newspaper on September 22nd in the city website. Individual letters were sent by mail to 6 property owners within 200 feet of the site. To date, staff has received 1 in favor and 1 in opposition. Again, this is the first public hearing. City Council will hold the second public hearing on October 29th, and approval or disapproval of the ordinance is scheduled for the November 12th City Council meeting.
Okie dokie. I don't have my public hearing page, so bear with me here. It's missing in my packet. Commissioners, any questions for staff before I open the public hearing? Nope. Okay. I will go ahead and open the public hearing at 7:33. Do we have anybody here to speak on item 5C? Okay. And then Mr. Okay, you're here to speak. So are you here to speak on the public hearing portion? So.
My name is Ziad Kapuch. I'm with the CEO.
Okay.
So if there's any questions, I'm here to answer.
Correct, but yes. So we might have you come back up during the discussion action when we're going, perfect, okay. But Mr. Fanstill, this was the item you wanted to speak on. Oh, yes, the microphone
Thank you
green.
for allowing me to speak a little bit about this. I farm that property right now, and the property right adjacent to it on the west side of it. My only concern, property owners have the right to do what they want to do with their property. But I just question for allowing another gas station, truck station, to be opened up on Interstate 10. Right on the west side of going towards San Antonio, there are 5 truck stops. One is completely closed already, and that's on 1518. There's a new one that just opened up. And then on 2538, there's 2, and they're barely hanging on. And part of the reason is right now is because of the Interstate 10 construction that's going on. But the on and off roads off of 10 to the access roads are very limited. So really don't see very much activity from major trucks stopping there because they'll be passed before they get there. The other thing is, Zeal Road, which is right adjacent that it's going to go through, is a small country road and used primarily for locals going from the north side to the south side of Interstate 10. So I really would question allowing this kind of activity right there, because I would foresee in the next 3 or 4 years it would close also, and would have another closed facility that's down the road. And also on the back side of this property, there's homes that would be right up against it, right there, and with particularly trucks for overnight parking, and that really is a security hazard. So I really would ask you all to think about those things before you approve this change. Yeah, the owners can do it's their private right to do that, but is it really the right thing for that corner? Thank you all very much.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your time coming up. And thank you for giving us stuff to think about. Do I have anyone else here? And can we have the map up instead? Do I have anyone else here to speak on this public hearing item 5C? No? Okay. I will go ahead and close that at 7:37. And that is everything for our public hearings. We did our citizens to be heard. We will go to item at number 7, which is the approval of the minutes from September 11th, 2024. We had noticed that in the minutes, it looks like they switched to absent. It should say Miss Dodd, not Miss Beaver. So we'll get that corrected on record. So we make a motion to approve the minutes with that correction, or how do I say that?
You could just say make a motion to approve the minutes with the correction of the absence being Ms. Dodd opposed to Ms. Beaver.
Okay.
What about the section 7 where it has ABB?
I'm sorry?
Section 7,
Cut off.
discussion action, it has ABB. Is that how it was when we did it?
And with the correction of making.
It's probably another. I don't have that. My page is missing.
We'll correct that as well.
Oh, yep. We do see a minor little detail
So
there.
make the
Your
motion
little.
to approve it with changing out Mrs. Beaver's absence to Mrs. Dodd, and then item 7C corrected.
Okay. We will go ahead and make a motion to approve the minutes as, can I say Ms. Val stated? Make a motion to approve the minutes from September 11th, 2024 with Ms. Beaver being removed from the absent line and adding Ms. Dodd. And then under item, was it 7? 7, that they correct the lettering A, B, B to A, B, C, D, et cetera. Okay. I have a motion on the floor. Can I get a second?
I second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? We will start at this end.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion passes. Okay, next we will go to discussion action items number 8A. This is regarding the final plat of Homestead Cibolo Unit 1 subdivision.
Yes, this is the final plat of Homestead Cibolo Unit 1. The owner is ILF&T. Matt Matthews, represented by Jesse Malone with Malone Wheeler. It is 19.9 acres in size, located near the intersection of Homestead Parkway and Sundown Parkway. It is in Council District 5. Zoned plan unit development, proposed for 54 residential lots, 4 open space lots. GVSUD is the water provider, the city is the sewer provider, and GVEC is the electricity provider. This final plat establishes Unit 1 of the Homestead subdivision with 54 residential lots, 4 open space lots, and roughly 3,300 linear feet of roadway. The preliminary plat was approved in July of last year. Construction plans were approved in April of this year for the public subdivision improvements. Again, this property is zoned plan unit development, of which was approved in August of 2014. Also, a public improvements agreement was approved also in November of 2014. Again, this plat includes roughly 3,300 linear feet of roadway. This plat establishes a portion of Sundown Parkway with 70 feet of right-of-way required per the public improvements agreement. This plat also establishes internal roads to serve the subdivision, of which all include 50 feet of right-of-way. Drainage has not deviated from what was approved with the preliminary plat. According to the approved drainage plan, stormwater runoff from Unit 1 will be mitigated by 3 detention ponds within the development. Staff and the city engineer have reviewed the plat and associated documents. So included in your packet is a memo from our city engineer's office. So while the city engineer's office has no further comments, planning staff also does more so of an administrative review of plats, and we still have outstanding comments. They are relatively minor. For example, one of our comments is to add the signature block on the plat for the chair and vice chair, things like that. So those comments are still outstanding. Therefore, at this time, staff is recommending denial of the plat. And I do have a copy of the planning staff comments if y'all would like to take a look at them. Yes, please. Okay.
Okay, while Grant is passing those down.
The applicant is also here if you have any questions for them.
Okay, thank you.
So the red is the comments.
Yes, in the handout, the red are planning staff comments. Yes, ma'am.
While we're reviewing that, and I know, again, we might have questions afterwards, but do you have, we'll go ahead and start this way. Mr. Hines, do you have anything?
No, not really. Just interested to hear what the reasoning for denial is. And those are the sorts of things that typically are remedied between now and the council meeting, correct?
Yes, so some of our comments include, again, adding the signature block for the P&Z chair and vice chair. The project engineer and surveyor signature block is missing the space to be notarized. That's required for the UDC. Another comment, Guadalupe County requires a 3x4 space in the lower right-hand corner for the recordation stamp. So that was one of our comments, to make sure that that area is maintained for the county's recordation stamp. This will go to council on October 29th, so there is a chance to update.
Yes, so it's just all a formatting error. It's not that they haven't turned in the required documentation. They have everything. It's just literally the format's missing.
Right.
A few.
At this point, the remaining comments are administrative, very minor. It's just making sure we have all the signature blocks in place, things like that.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Sorry, can I just add that? No, not yet, but give us a minute. We're going to keep passing that down. Ms. Dodd, do you have anything?
No, but it does sound like everything you just said are more administrative issue.
Yes.
Okay. Anything, Ms. Garcia?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not.
I do not.
No. Okay. So after reviewing the notes, the comments, any other final words, or are we open to a motion? And we'll give us another 30 seconds.
I'll just go ahead and make the motion to denial for the reasons as were laid out by staff, simply some documentation formatting issues, expecting those to be remedied soon.
Yeah.
Motion
Okay.
second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Thompson? Okay, so we'll go ahead and go down right to left again. Mr. Hines?
Aye.
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 And I know it's going to come back up because we have the second one, and I'm thinking the format's probably the same thing. That's the reason why the denial's on that. So we do know it's a format admin thing, so it's not like you're denying and it's a recommendation. It'll come back before council on the 29th? 29th, okay. Let's move on to item number 8B, which is discussion action regarding the final plat of Homestead Cibolo Unit 2 subdivision. Mr. Grant.
Yes, this is the final plat for Unit 2, 21.32 acres in size, located near the intersection of Homestead Parkway and Sundown Parkway in Council District 5, Zone Plan Unit Development. This unit is proposed for 66 residential lots and 6 open space lots. GVSUD is the water provider, City of Cibolo is the sewer provider, and GVEC is the electric provider. This final plat is for Unit 2 of Homestead Subdivision with 66 residential lots, 6 open space lots, and 4,100 linear feet of roadway. The preliminary plat was approved in August of last year. Construction plans for the public subdivision improvements were approved in July of this year. Again, this subdivision is zoned Plan Unit Development. Both the Plan Unit Development and PIA were approved in 2014. This plat includes the dedication of 4,100 linear feet of roadway. This plat establishes a portion of Sundown Parkway with a connection to the existing Green Valley Road with 70 feet of right-of-way required per the Public Improvements Agreement. The right-of-way issue that is noted in the memo from the city engineer's office, but also in the staff report, has been resolved as of today. That issue is taken care of. This plat also establishes internal roads to serve the subdivision with 50 feet of right-of-way dedicated. Again, drainage has not deviated from what was approved with the preliminary plat. According to the approved drainage plan, stormwater runoff from Unit 2 will be mitigated by 3 detention ponds within the development. Staff and the city engineer reviewed the plat and associated documents. So again, this is an update. The right-of-way issue mentioned in the city engineer's memo has been addressed. However, similar to Unit 1, planning staff still has outstanding minor comments, so therefore staff is recommending denial of the plat at this time. This one will also go to council on the 29th, so that potentially allows for the time to get those minor comments addressed, and then we can update our recommendation.
Yeah, I was noticing, I was trying to compare the one we just passed around to this one, and it's the same kind of comments that are just little minor details that are missing. Is our process any different than, like, is there a reason those weren't added to begin with? Like, is that something we request only as City of Cibolo? Like, is this standard? What's missing is standard?
Yes, it's very standard. It's
Okay.
required for the UDC.
Okay.
It's very standard comments.
Okay, I just didn't know if we had some special something that they have to alter every single time, these people that come in for the plats, but you're saying that's just standard across Texas, kind of these information?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
very standard.
okay, gotcha. So definitely an admin mistake, so gotcha, okay. All right, I don't have any questions. Does anybody have questions? Because I know the applicant was here. Grant, anyone? We'll start at this end then, Mr. Hines.
I don't have any questions.
Okay,
No questions.
No questions for me.
nothing here.
No questions.
No questions.
None.
Okay, then do we want to go ahead and motion on the floor again? Yeah, it's kind of all the same little spots. I was comparing the old one to the one we just got. Mr. Hines, did you want to?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do it. So I'll make a motion for denial due to the, outstanding comments. Thank you very much. I was trying to filter here and listen to you at the same time. Make a motion for denial for the outstanding comments, which is really just some formatting issues. Thank you.
Okay, I have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. And then I know for a gentleman in the audience, public hearings, well, when it's platting and we don't have questions for the applicant, we don't have questions for them. So sorry, there's not much. Yeah. So, gotcha. I'm sure it'll all be addressed before the next meeting. Okay. We are on item 8C. Discussion action regarding a conditional use permit requested to allow an accessory living quarters use in a manufactured home district, MH1, for certain real property located at 432 Tolly Road, legally described as Raby Estates Lot 1, 1.93 acres.
Hello. Just a little recap. Again, this was initially came forward as a conditional use permit for a manufactured home, which turned into a rezoning to the MH1 district, which it is currently. That was approved in January 2024. Staff was unaware that the applicant intended to retain the existing one-bedroom, one-bath structure that is on the property, and this did not come to light until permitting came around, and they were attempting to place the new manufactured home on the property. So, conditional use permits must comply with the considerations listed in UDC section 4.3.2. So one of those is consistency with the master plan, and staff finds that this request, so the 2024 comprehensive master plan calls this parcel out as a state residential. Appropriate land use types include detached single-family residences, which the applicant will comply. Accessory living quarters are not uncommon in this place type, with some properties within the example locations containing similar accessory structures. Therefore, this amendment is consistent with the comprehensive master plan. So this request does comply with the remaining criteria listed in section 4.3.2, including lot design, use, and potential impacts to the surrounding properties. I do want to call out for item C, which is compatibility with the lot design standards. So the MH1 zoning district does allow for a maximum density of 5.5 dwelling units per acre, and that is just a measurement of density. That is not, it does not mean that 5.5 or 5 homes can be placed on one lot. It is simply just if they were to place the 5 lots or 5 dwelling units on the property, it would need to be replatted to have the 5 lots individual. It's 1 unit per lot. It's just if you think about, like, it's comparable to, say, the SF6 zoning district, where they are allowed essentially 6 units per acre. Right.
But they would have to replat.
They would have to replat.
It would be
have to be a standard subdivision, essentially. It's just a measurement of density.
So this platting is 1.9 acres, one
lot per
a plat
one.
of
Yes.
1.9 acres.
Yes.
Not a platting of 5 acres within the 1.9, or 5 sites
It would
within
have
the
to be
1.9.
separated into 5 different, into 5 separate parcels to allow for 5 homes on the lot.
Okay.
That's not what we're doing.
Not
No.
what we're
It's
doing.
just a clarifying point, because I know that wasn't mixed up with the last request.
Yeah.
I think you kind of see where we were going to probably come at
Yes,
you.
it's the issue of how many houses are allowed on it, and again, it's just a measurement of density.
So how many?
Only one primary structure is allowed on this total lot. This one that's highlighted in green, only one primary structure, which is why they're requesting the accessory structure.
Because it's only one plat.
So yes, it's platted as one property.
One plat, one building.
Yes.
Even if it was 20 acres.
What? Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Right. They could break it down, but
Okay.
So the water's getting clear.
Yeah.
It's just clarifying that.
Gotcha. Thanks, Miss Lindsay.
And then as for the staff recommended conditions, we would, if you were to approve it with conditions, we recommend, of course, that the applicant would comply with building and fire codes. They would have to obtain permits and inspections. There would be any additional uses would not be allowed under the conditional use permit. All MH1 regulations would have to be followed, and that this accessory living quarters would be the only accessory living quarters use allowed on the property. And if you have any questions, staff is here to assist. I also included an example of how this accessory living quarters differs from accessory dwelling units, otherwise known as mother-in-law flats.
Yeah, that was something I had brought up because we've had ADUs, I'm just used to abbreviating them from real estate, ADUs come up. And so it was interesting to me. I never knew there was a difference between a living quarter and a residential unit because one has a kitchen and one does not. So just knowing one has a kitchen and one does not completely made it different, that it needed a cup. And I think that's where I was a little bit confused, because if it had a kitchen, then it would have been permitted and it didn't need a cup?
No,
No.
they both require cups. in
Both
the
of them
MH.
did require
Yes.
cups, whether it was a residential unit or a living quarter.
Yes, so if it's residential unit, the accessory building, which would be this, as we're applying it to the accessory structure, it would need to be 33% the size of the primary structure. So they would essentially have to find a manufactured home that is 3 times the size of this structure, or place a separate accessory structure that is 1/3 of the size of this existing structure.
Gotcha, okay. Okay, questions, comments, and I know the applicants are here if we need to bring them up. We'll go ahead and start, Mr. Hines.
Yeah, so I appreciate that last bit. That was more information than I ever thought about asking. That was great. And so I'm sitting here thinking, okay, so if you ever want to add a kitchen to this, here we are again. But you can't, what you were saying is you can't add a kitchen to this. It will always be a dwelling unit, because if you do add a kitchen, then it changes the interpretation of the extra house, or it's a boarding room, house now, boarding room rather than a dwelling. And the kitchen would mean that it would have to be in size, scope and size with the main house. Is that what you're saying? Or am I just making it more difficult?
So changing it would essentially just negate the cup altogether,
Yeah.
because again, it would have to fit into this type of use. If you added the kitchen, then yes, it would change the use.
Yeah, okay. And we've seen these requests for mother-in-law flats come across, and now we're just taking an existing structure, making that the accessory to put a main home there. And this would have been necessary even before this whole process started, correct? Even if we'd been able to go through the original cup rather than the rezoning, it still would have been necessary.
So I did include the use tables. If they had retained their SF2 zoning district and the original cup had been approved, they wouldn't require an additional conditional use permit for this accessory structure. It's because of the zoning district that they're in.
Yeah. Okay, well, this is where we are. Okay, all right,
Yes.
yeah,
Wait. Yeah, but we asked them to.
At the time of the original
rezone it.
request, they had SF2, but they wanted to place a manufactured home, is what they had told us. And at that time, you could get a manufactured home. You would need a conditional use permit for a manufactured home. However, when it got to council didn't want to do it that route. They said that it should go back as a zone change to MH1, and in MH1, you're allowed a manufactured home. Yes. That's how that change happened. They started with the SF2, which required a conditional use permit to place a manufactured home. But council wanted it to see it as a zone change. And that's
But
why.
because council wasn't aware that they were going to keep that other structure.
No.
Nobody
we were
was
not
aware
that
there was
They were
another
under the
structure.
impression that it was grandfathered and that they didn't have to get a permit for that. So they didn't tell us
And
about.
that's why council made that recommendation.
Yes.
Because they weren't aware that they wanted to keep this structure and
Correct.
get a manufactured
Correct.
home.
Yeah.
Correct, okay.
We thought it was always going to be one structure.
Yeah, and council just didn't want the cup. They just
Yeah,
want.
they didn't
just
want the conditional use permit.
Council just didn't want to apply a cup, period. So that was why the recommendation for changing the zoning came about, which was fine. And now that we're in this position, we're now finding out that it's actually going to be two dwellings.
So because it has a bathroom, is that what makes this, because I mean, people take garages and they turn it into extra live. What made this structure a structure and not a?
Well, this is currently it's an accessory structure, which technically it's not, because there's not a primary structure there. It doesn't have.
Okay.
But it is there.
Yeah.
It's been there.
Okay, let's not muddy it too much.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll just keep going down, and then commissioners, if we have to do one more round, I understand because it's a little confusing, but let's just try to see if we can get it done in one round. Miss Dodd.
I have no questions.
Ms. Garcia.
I do have a couple of questions. If I could have you come back up for me, please. And you said you are the daughter, correct? Okay, so what is the structure used for now?
It doesn't have a use. It's been on the property since 2013. Like I said, it was built back then. The previous owner moved out of the state, so they never did anything with it, and it's been without a use.
And what is?
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Our intention was always to keep it as an accessory building to our manufactured home once we placed it. Like staff mentioned, we were under the impression that it had been grandfathered into the city of Cibolo, which is why we never applied for any additional permits for it.
So this structure's never been used by y'all since you bought the property in 2013?
As a living space, no. It was used for storage, I guess you could say, but we've never used it as a living space.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay.
Because
Are you intending to use it further
Sorry.
down the line for a living space?
yes, we intend to use it as an accessory building to house guests temporarily. My grandparents like to visit us.
So can you describe the building? It's a 1-bedroom, 1-bath?
Mhm.
And that's strictly, is there a living area?
There's a living area. It's 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, and a living area within the space.
And you would use these for long-term, short-term residents? Like, would it be like something like a mother-in-law suite or?
Yes, but without a kitchen. It doesn't have a laundry room. It doesn't have a kitchen. So whenever we have guests over, we intend to use for that.
Okay, and so no one's really living on this property right now then?
No, ma'am.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I do want to mention something else. It was never connected to a septic system. There's no septic system on the property since the previous owner, like I said, moved out of state. They never continued with that process. And so this would be us connecting it to a septic system if it is approved.
Connecting the 1-bedroom, 1-bath?
Right,
Okay.
as along with the manufactured home.
Did the previous owners ever use it since there was no septic system in there?
Mm-mm.
No?
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I think we're gonna, anything else, Miss Garcia?
No. But
Okay.
thank you so much.
Okay,
for
we'll call you
your
back
help.
up if we need you.
Thank you.
And you said, okay.
Question is for staff, and we had remember we did the cup training and we did the whole plotting, and you said sometimes cups don't get grandfathered in and it got
So,
MH1
we did research this property. It was annexed in 2010, and
Say that again?
it was annexed in 2010.
It was annexed from the city of Cibolo,
From the city of Cibolo, it's under Ordinance 959.
so it's in the ETJ.
No, it's in city limits. As of 2010, it has been in Cibolo city limits. As far as we could tell, the property was placed after the 2013 UDC was adopted, which actually did not allow manufactured homes within the SF2 zoning district.
When did they purchase the property?
I believe 2013?
2013?
Yeah.
But it was nothing on it about the unit and anything?
No, there wouldn't be any.
Okay, this is, because we've done I see them doing the in-law suites. I personally tell everyone, I don't see a problem with them turning that structure into something for their grandparents. Because even if they get sick, they're gonna need family to take care of them. And if I can have my grandparents here and take care of them at my home where we pay taxes, like, come on. And if they needed a kitchenette or a stove I mean, if grandma don't want to walk over to the house and get nothing to eat, I mean, are we really muddying it up?
Yeah, I think we're getting a little too lost, and yeah, I think the multi-generational living is kind of becoming more common, which is why when we had our kind of pre-agenda meeting, I didn't even know there was a difference between having a kitchen or not having a kitchen, because we'd have cups for ADU mother-in-laws previously, and we've not had any issues with it. So I think the overall thought is that they just want a main unit, and they want their little side unit, and they're not doing anything that they shouldn't be doing. And then there was some confusion on the unit because, what they thought was already in rule and it wasn't, or it was, or it's just confusing. So I think unless, Miss, do you have anything else? Because I would be ready to make a motion.
Yeah, I think that what I was gonna say is it just makes sense to have these conditions that staff was talking about the fire codes, permits. Just to make sure that everything is safe in the structure, but that would be the only thing that I would say with the motion that you're ready to make.
Yeah. Okay. And again, Ms. Hubbard, if you have anything, I'm kind of looking to you to raise your hand like the scooters thing. So otherwise, I'm just kind of, gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
I just think it's important because I also believe that, if you buy a piece of property, you should be able to do with it what you want. Like if you want to add, a suite for your parents or a home for your parents, your grandparents, your children, I believe that should be done. But I just want to make sure that there's a clear understanding because the city is saying that this structure was added after it was annexed into the city. And you stated that it wasn't, that it was annexed after you obtained the purchase of the land.
There is an error on the plat where the county does say that it's not within city limits. I believe that's where the confusion came from. Just a
Okay.
plat error.
I just want them to know to be sure that they understand if we approve it with the staff conclusion as far as the conditions, that they do understand completely what the conditions are so that there isn't any more confusion moving forward. So that's my main concern is that you can come up if you want to come up, just so that, we don't want you to come back in here, later and say, I didn't understand. So if you have any questions or to any of the conditions that she had stated.
I actually thank you for mentioning that. I did have a couple questions in regards to some of the conditions because, like I said, it was built back in 2013 and under the impression that no permits or inspections needed to be obtained. So I was just wondering how that process works.
Can you pull the conditions up on my?
Yeah, I just don't want to.
Okay.
It to be
Do you?
even more
Yeah,
of
that's
a-
fine. What questions did you have?
So what would proceed if it is approved?
Oh, I don't see the conditions up.
So it would just be the standard permitting process. So like how you're getting the permit for your manufactured home, I would just also, and we can coordinate with you and the permitting staff just to also get a certificate of occupancy for the accessory home as well.
Okay. And that's done through the website, the MGO?
Yes.
Okay. So
Okay.
it would include the fire codes and then additional permits and inspections?
Yes, and with your permit, it would come with an inspection. So our inspectors would go out there and just make sure it's safe, essentially.
Do you have any description as to what this may include? What requirements?
I do not.
Okay.
But again, that's something we can coordinate with
Sounds
our
good.
permitting staff.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think does she need to email you then to get some of these questions answered? Or how does she go about getting the particular details? Because it sounds like you want like an itemized list to make sure if someone comes out for inspection, you're within code.
Right.
You want to be prepared. Yes, so can we coordinate that? Can you guys, okay. Ms. Hubbard?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that. So when, for whatever electricity or plugs and outlets and things like that, just make sure that I'm sorry, I wear glasses, so I didn't bring my clear ones. You just want to make sure that whoever's doing that is licensed, contracted, certified, because if there ever is a fire or an electrical issue or anything, you want to make sure you're also covered through your insurance as well.
Good, and we would have to obtain some type of certificate from them?
She'll walk you, yeah, because you'll need permits and everything.
Yeah.
And your
Okay.
contractor, some contractors will do it for you. They'll go ahead and get the permits for you. Exactly. Yep.
City then does their part, and then they come give you an inspection, inspect the dwelling, make sure that you're within code, check your plugs, make sure they're in compliance, because safety is our #1 priority.
For grounding.
And I believe that you get with them, they'll have an outline, you'll get with your general contractor, a lot of people that you probably find anyone that's a general contractor.
We actually had the electricity replaced already by a licensed contractor, so we would essentially get the certificates from them and.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, okay. Does someone want to make a motion then?
I want to go ahead and make an.
Okay, Ms. Garcia?
So I would like
Thank
to
you.
approve. I would like to approve to City Council and the Mayor I'm sorry, I would like to make a recommendation to the city council and the mayor to approve the requested CUP for the accessory living quarters used for the property located at 1.93 acres, located at 432 Tolly Road, legally described as Arabia Estates Lot 1, 1.93 AC, and any additional conditions that city council may require in addition to the staff conclusions.
Okay, does that work? Okay, perfect. I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Aye.
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 All right, thank you.
Joy.
Okay, we will move on to item 8E because we did D earlier. Discussion action regarding a conditional use permit, a CUP request to allow local convenience store with fuel sales larger than 5,000 square feet use in a general commercial district, C4, for certain real property located at 12880 IH 10, legally described as ABS 134 Sir Jose Flores 11.26 acres.
Yes, to recap, this is a conditional use permit for a local convenience store with fuel sales larger than 5,000 square feet at 12880 I-10. Again, it is in Council District 7, designated as Regional Activity Center per the Future Land Use Plan, zoned C4 General Commercial. Again, the applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to develop a local convenience store with fuel sales larger than 5,000 square feet. Again, this use is permitted by right in C4. However, Section 6.3 of the UDC states that if a structure within this use is proposed to be larger than 5,000 square feet, then that is when the conditional use permit is required. Again, the site plan included in your packet shows a 9,350 square foot structure on the property. The applicant's letter of intent, which is in your packet, states that the proposed use includes a fuel station, overnight parking, truck stop, and convenience store offering food and beverages. Staff recommends, should City Council ultimately approve the conditional use permit for this request, that it be subject to the following conditions. Number 1, building and fire codes. The applicant must comply with all building and fire code requirements. Number 2, permits and inspections. All required building permits and certificate of occupancy must be obtained. All permit applications submitted for this property are subject to the requirements of the code. Number 3, no additional conditional uses are allowed under this conditional use permit. Number 4, a subdivision plat must be submitted for review and approval with the City of Cibolo and recorded upon completion. Number 5, this subject property is along TxDOT right-of-way, therefore the applicant must obtain approval from TxDOT and include proof of approval with any development applications submitted to the city. Number 6, all regulations of UDC Article 17.L2 regarding a required 20-foot landscape buffer along property lines adjacent to any residentially used or zoned property must be met. Number 7, all regulations of the general commercial C4 zoning district other than those amended by this conditional use permit do apply to the property. 8, any alcohol sales are subject to TABC Commission rules and regulations. And then 9, the supplemental use regulations required by UDC Article 6.3, which include requirements such as distances from right-of-way, canopy requirements, and then, of course, that the conditional use permit is required because of the structure being larger than 5,000 square feet. The Planning and Zoning Commission's options are to recommend approval, recommend approval with conditions, or to recommend denial with findings. Staff's analysis of the criteria of this request based on Section 4.3.2 of the Unified Development Code. A, consistency with the Comprehensive Master Plan. Staff finds that the Comprehensive Master Plan calls out this parcel as a regional activity center, which provides consideration for land uses including community and regional serving retail and commercial, with examples in the plan such as the Cibolo Crossing and shops at Cibolo Bend Centers. Of note, it also includes HEB as an example, which does have a fuel center. B, conformance with applicable regulation in the UDC and standards established by the UDC. Staff finds that the zoning amendment will promote the health, safety, and welfare of the city and the safe and orderly development of the city as it does comply with the intent of the Comprehensive Master Plan. The intent of the Regional Activity Center place type emphasizes large-scale developments to attract regional traffic for shopping and retail needs, with uses such as big box retailers along major thoroughfares, freeways, and arterial roads, in addition to uses such as grocery stores and smaller uses such as offices and restaurants. Regional Activity Center uses can also include other retail and service uses. The proposed development aligns with the large-scale development for shopping and service needs emphasized in the intent of regional activity centers. C, compatibility with existing or permitted uses on abutting sites in terms of building height, bulk, scale, setbacks, and open spaces, landscaping, site development, and access and circulation. Staff finds that the UDC provides lot design guidelines within the C4 zoning district that are designed in scale for compatibility with surrounding mix of residential areas. Again, this proposed use would be subject to the regulations stated in UDC Article 6, in addition to UDC Section 17.2L, which requires a non-residential use, non-industrial use that is adjacent to or facing a multifamily zoning district shall provide a minimum 10-foot landscape buffer adjacent to the property line of residential use or zoned property. While this property is primarily surrounded by C4 zoned property, the Guadalupe County Appraisal District website states that neighboring property ID 63308 has a residential structure on the property, and neighboring property 63300 has a manufactured home structure on the property. Though these properties are zoned C4 general commercial, that buffer will be required along the respective property line of residentially used property. D, potential unfavorable impacts on existing or permitted uses on abutting sites, the extent that such impacts exceed those which reasonably may result from the use of the site by a permitted use. Staff finds that the use is suitable for the zoning district and the surrounding districts, provided the conditional use permit is approved. Again, the conditional use permit is required because the structure indicated on the site plan is larger than 5,000 square feet. E, modifications to the site plan which would result in increased compatibility or would mitigate potentially unfavorable impacts or would be necessary to conform to applicable regulations and standards to protect the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. Staff finds that the proposed local convenience store with fuel sales larger than 5,000 square feet, again, is required to meet the landscaping requirements for commercial property that is adjacent to residentially zoned or used property. Approximately 37 parking spaces are required per UDC Article 10. Sidewalks will be required along Zool Road, but not along the IH-10 frontage road. And lastly, F, safety and convenience of vehicular and pedestrian circulation in the vicinity, including traffic reasonably expected to be generated by this use. Staff finds that the subject property is not platted. As part of the platting process, they will have to submit a traffic impact analysis. As part of that process, any required mitigation will be researched and will have to be met. Also included in your report, and this is meant for informational purposes, not meant to be a part of the consideration process. The Planning and Zoning Commission criteria for considering these requests are what was called out previously in the report with staff's finding and analysis. But also included in your report is what the recently approved Strategic Economic Development Plan identifies for this property. But again, that is more for informational purposes. If you have any questions, I am happy to assist.
Yep, thank you. Okay, any questions or comments for staff before we start down the row?
I do have one for Grant. Grant, on the public notice that was sent out, where it was published in the Seguin Gazette, and then 6 were sent out, 1 was received in favor and 1 in opposition. Have any more come in?
No, since posting, that number is the same.
I wish there was a way, because, you know, when it says in favor and opposition, they usually don't put anything, like telling us why they're opposing it, like if there's a concern. I wish there was a way that we could kind of get them to say, like, it would help if they're saying no. Why are, like, if we could put something like, if you say no, why are you against it? It just, when I see an opposition, I would really like to know why they're opposing it, but it's blank. It doesn't say anything. So it was just these two, one for and one against, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Did anyone else have questions or comments for staff? And then
So
we'll
I
go
have a-
down.
Yeah, so I have questions for staff. So you're saying that you're going to require a 20-foot landscape buffer, but how does that mitigate lights, noise, pollution? You're going to have overnight truck parking. How is that going to help all the residents around there? How is that going to help mitigate it, right? We just went through a variance for a little light that we didn't want polluting the neighbors, but how is this going to help all of these neighbors?
Well, unfortunately, it's C4 though. It's not residential.
Well, but
It's
as long
meant
as
for
they live
commercial
there, they
use.
are, and it isn't until they're sold that it becomes C4. But as long as they live there, it's their property, right? It's their home is on that land is the point. And if they never sell, well, it's never going to become C4.
So there are some property surrounding this that are residentially used, though they are commercially zoned. Again, that landscape buffer will be required along any portion of the property line that is adjacent to residentially used property. As far as any concerns of lighting, it will have to meet the city's lighting standards. That is another thing that we review during the development process. We require a lighting plan to make sure that there's no what is called light trespassing onto adjacent property. So that will be enforced during the development process. Any noise concerns, the city does have like nuisance regulations in the code, so it would have to comply with that as well.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're just going to go ahead and start down the line because they're like big questions. So we might as well go ahead. Mr. Hines? Questions, comments, thoughts, discussion?
Yeah. So I take it that because of the zoning, the only reason we're seeing this is because it's a large structure.
Right, because the structure that they're proposing exceeds 5,000 square feet. Otherwise, this use is permitted by right in C4. It's just the size of the structure that's triggering the conditional use permit.
4,950 square feet, and we wouldn't even know it until it started coming up, we drove by.
Correct. Well, I mean, basically, yeah. It would be a by right use, yes.
Yep. So do we have a brand name? Are we allowed to know a brand name? We can't use that to make our judgment with.
No, we're not really supposed to ask that kind of stuff. Unless it's offered, if the applicant was here and he said, we're putting in a QT, it's not that, but whatever.
He was here. It must have been something we said. Yeah. But the majority, the main entrance is going to be off of Zeal Road. And so that's going to have to be something that the traffic impact analysis is going to have to dictate, a rebuilding, restructuring of that portion of whatever Zeal Road that it impacts. See, the detention pond is out there in front of it.
Yeah, there's three entrances off of I-10.
Yeah, there are, but when I'm looking at
Yeah, the main entrance, there's 3 entrances off of I-10 and only 1 off of Zeal.
There are, but having used these types of facilities when I made my living. So I look at this and how do you use it? So the
You
majority
do
of
want to
the
be
traffic's
careful,
gonna use
commissioners,
Zeal.
of the side conversation because we're supposed to be having it on mics, just FYI.
Yeah, so majority of the traffic for fueling purposes, when you bring your tractor trailer in to be able to line up to the fueling station, you're going to come in off of Zeal Road. So that's going to be the majority of the traffic use. There'll be some entrance, but mainly exiting on these, I'll call them the last two, the 2 exits on the left. It's just observations is really all I have. For our purposes, yeah, I guess the only concern I could bring up right now is the alcohol sales and fuel sales, and they have to meet within whatever guidance as our UDC offers. But the facility and the type of business, by right, fits within our coding, our zoning.
Correct. It's the structure, the size that's triggering the conditional use permit. And if I may also add the 3 entrances that they are showing on this proposed site plan on the I-10 frontage road, those will have to be reviewed and approved by TxDOT during the plating process.
Right, right. Okay, all right. I can't think of anything else right now.
Okay. Next.
No questions.
And next.
Not at this time. No questions.
I have one more.
Yep.
Hours of operation, it's a 24/7? I would imagine it would be, right?
They did not mention that in their letter of intent.
Right.
That was my question. So hours of operation, but also knowing the flume, it seemed like they're going to try to push those people out by bringing something that large and that big, even though it's residential of C4, if you go back to the other map, it says C4, and you got some dwellings on it, and then we bring a big, basically truck stop. It's gonna be a big truck stop. Tearing up roads, and I know we're saying that it's 10, but all the truckers from 35 gonna cut through our little town of Cibolo, get on Zool Road, and tear the road up to get there.
Well, no, there's not many truck routes. They can't.
It would be extremely difficult to get there from 35.
Yeah, it's definitely an I-10
But
corridor.
It's an I-10
Only I-10,
service.
so nobody's gonna.
They're not going to go
78.
from here to there. They can't.
They won't purposely
Yeah.
go that there.
I'm just saying.
Not-
If it's
Yeah.
the only truck stop and I can park my car here and my wife can be say, hey, meet me, I'm cutting across. Regardless of what anybody's saying, I'm gonna cut across because that's the nearest one I can park my car,
And
my
then,
truck.
and then it'll cost them a lot of money every time they try.
Yeah, we have very strict rules and regulations and council and the city manager, and you're welcome to tattle. I've seen a couple that I've done it. Well, I don't want to pay more taxes for my roads because a heavy hauler is tearing it up. Like,
That's what I
so,
can see.
I think to address some of your concern, Mr. Thompson, is that a no-through road really doesn't, it really doesn't help you a lot because you can use any road in the city or the county as long as you're making a delivery. But to cut from 35 to here,
yeah,
purposely,
it's
you're a
not
through
gonna,
truck.
yeah.
Now you violated any, the no-through truck laws, and really the only way to keep trucks off of roads is a no-truck road zoning. But, I mean, right now, in 20 years, maybe we'll have some good roads, but right now, that's the only district that this serves. I mean, I'm not for or anti on this,
Right.
this deal, but just in the general conversation, is all of that is basically industrial zoning.
Right.
You know,
But I'm just saying with all that being that whole 10 and the comprehensive plan is being all industrial zoning, the roads, the infrastructure will have to be in place because if you bring that now, you're still gonna tear up Zool Road and they're gonna be tearing it up until everything else grows out to the comprehensive plan.
Right, and typically with your traffic impact analysis, the developer would be required to build their portion of Zeal Road to the standards to handle the heavy traffic.
Because that's thousands of trucks that come through.
It's a
Millions.
lot, it's a lot, yeah, and I used to be one of them.
Yeah, it's I-10 main corridors. I mean, it is. Miss Beaver?
Thank you.
No? Okay. Okay, so here's my little speech. Trucking, transportation, essential industry, right? Everything you're looking at right now in front of you came or touched a truck. Everything. Your clothes, your jewelry, your hair product, your food, the microphone, everything. So trucking is an essential industry. We have decided that I-10, according to our hours, months, what was it, almost a year of studying, that we wanted to push towards I-10 to keep it. I think someone had even brought up on one of those meetings they wanted like a hospital out there, a police department, events, convention center, I don't know what it was, some arts, something. So the goal and all the time, money, and resources we spent was to do what this is asking right now. And only because it's bigger than 5,000 square foot are we even here tonight. So, and yes, I heard you say the word Buc-ee's. We've heard the mayor say it several times. When are we getting a Buc-ee's? And that's a mixed thing. This can't be a Buc-ee's because it's not a, usually, it's not, it's not big enough. Not enough gas station pumps requested on this one.
Not a Buc-ee's servicing trucks.
So I guess what I'm saying is though our decision is, mostly met on does it fit the area? Yes, it does. Does it fit the future? Yes, it does. Is it a situation where the people that technically have a residential spot next to them, yes. I don't know how long I-10's been here. Has I-10 been here 100 years, 50 years? I mean, I-10 is a, you know, I'm not going to live next to I-35 because I don't want to deal with that. So I feel bad back and forth, right? Like, I don't know if when these people were brought here 150 years ago, they knew I-10 was going to be here. So I understand how we're having mixed emotions to this because we always want to help our citizens first before we help commercial, and I understand that. But what I'm just sitting here pushing is this is what we've been planning for, and this is what we've been trying to get. And I-10 is already having travel centers, gas stations, new QT, new infrastructure, lots of road stuff happening right there. So we're just not going to steer away from it. Another thing is that you guys forget about 1518. There's a lot of other roads besides Zool Road, and heavy haul trucks aren't going to take tiny little corners and loops and roads because they're 84 feet plus long. So, I mean, I understand everybody's concerns, emotion-based, factual-based, future planning, past choices, but I just feel like we need infrastructure, we need trucking, we need our everything that we are literally looking at in front of us. So anyways, that's just what I have. And yes, I think our city and our commission does a really good job of mitigating, making sure those buffers go in. Of course, I can go back to the concrete batch plant, and none of our recommendation was taken there. So I don't, you know, again, we always fight the best that we can to make everybody that we can happy all at once. But in the end, you know, somebody's going to miss out. Somebody's, you know, we try to make as much of a win-win for both residential, commercial as we can. So I understand that, definitely. I don't know if anyone has a motion that they would like to put on the table. I think this is our last agenda item, right? So I will go back to that. Oh, that we have our subcommittee, yeah, okay. And I do know, again, I guess with that new rule, we have until 9, so I guess we better start speeding it up. Oh, is it 9:30? Oh, it is 9:30. All right, never mind, we got an hour, we're good. I was feeling rushed for a minute. Yeah, so does anyone have a motion on the table? Because if not, I obviously do. I'd like to make a motion to approve, I'd like to make a motion to recommend to the mayor and city council approval regarding the conditional use permit to allow convenience store with fuel sales larger than 5,000 square foot use in general commercial district C4 for certain real property located at 12880 IH10, legally described as ABS 134 Sir Jose Flores, 11.26 acres. I have a motion. Do I have any seconds?
A second.
I have a motion and a second.
Can I ask one question while we've got the motion on the
Nope,
floor?
because we already got the motion on the floor.
I'll ask later.
You should stop me before we say, do we have a motion for the floor? But gotcha. Okay, I have a motion and a second.
Interrupt the wife while she's talking.
Roll call.
Aye. Yeah.
Aye.
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 Okay, we have a motion, we have a vote. It's that time, I'm starting to get fuzzy. All right. Thank you again, everyone that came to speak. Item 8F, discussion and action regarding the creation of a P&Z training subcommittee. I hope last meeting we all had time to think about if you wanted to volunteer, if you wanted to nominate, if we have anything we want to put in the parameters of we want it to take 3 months, 6 months, like this is very fluid right now, so whatever thoughts and ideas we have, I'll start at this end. Mr. Hines?
It is pretty fluid, but I would say that we should probably target having at least an onboarding process by January. I would like to be able to target that since that's the beginning of the commission year. Beginning of the council year is November, ours is January. If we could really try to have something to target that, and then it might work, it might not. And then my questions, I guess, might be a little more legal, is that whenever the subcommittee, and I'm not assuming to be on the subcommittee, I'm just asking, you know, in general, whenever the subcommittee is meeting, do those meetings need to be posted? Does it follow that, or can you just say there's a subcommittee of 3, those 3 decide where and when you're going to meet,
Because it's under quorum, we don't have to
Yeah,
have
so
it posted.
subcommittees don't typically have more than what would constitute as a quorum on their subcommittee. We're not required to post that or anything like that.
Okay, all right. So maybe there were a couple of times when I was on school board that we went overboard because of whatever the particular subject matter was, but I just wanted to make sure that it's on record that, that we know a subcommittee does not have to post basically anything other than report back to the commission after each meeting.
Yeah, that's correct. As long as you don't have enough members to constitute a quorum, you don't have to post or anything like that. You would just have your meetings and.
And is that
discuss.
meeting schedule something that, I'm not saying we have a chair, but, you know, out of 3 people, I'm sure one person's going to be a little bit more involved. Can they just randomly say, hey, let's meet this week? Does it mean they have to have one, like
Those
what?
would still probably typically be scheduled probably through the city secretary's office, just so
Okay.
that we can keep.
So scheduled through the secretary.
Some minutes, you know, something that, you need minutes so you can know what to report back to the commission.
I think minutes are just notes, probably just notes.
We don't do any of the typical things that we would do for this, like a regular meeting. We don't take minutes actually, we don't even attend most of the subcommittee meetings, but we do like to keep them on record just so we can keep council privy as to what's going on with their committees in the city.
You know, we are training for proper governance. We just want to make sure we're using proper governance when we're creating our training.
So for Parks and Recreation, we have a bunch of subcommittees. I want to say we have like 4 of them. So the idea, the process behind it is that you're obviously only sticking to what you're supposed to be talking about. So like for one of our things is for the Ron Peed Memorial Flower Garden. So anytime we meet, that's what we're discussing, that's what we're talking about, that's what's going on. So the idea isn't that we're talking about agenda items or other things that have nothing to do with that garden, if that makes sense.
It does, you know, because you could possibly be creating a walking quorum if you talk about anything other than the one matter that you're there for.
And that was what I was going to add, is the most important part would be to not get off topic and say, oh, hey, about that item.
Yeah, so it strictly has to be.
It would strictly have to be about your
training.
'cause I think this is for training, correct? Strictly for training purposes.
And onboarding. I like training, and onboarding is a good phrase too.
You just stay off of agenda topics for your P&Z meetings.
We might want to ask our lawyer just to be sure that can we just pick a place? You know, can the committee pick a place, or should it always be in a city facility, city-owned facility, just in case someone, you know, well, I don't know, we shake our heads, but I've been in situations where it needs to be in a place, or it was recommended to be in a public place where if anybody wanted to attend, they can attend. They don't participate in the subcommittee discussion. I've been in subcommittees where members of the public attended.
No, so when you guys are meeting,
Yes.
it's strictly just you 2 or 3 that are on your committee. So other people aren't welcome, other people shouldn't be there. The conversation should not deviate from exactly what it is you're there to do. And yes, you can meet anywhere. If you want to meet at a Starbucks, if you want to meet at 1908 and one of the chairs outside or whatever, the tables outside, you can meet pretty much anywhere that you want to. Again, you're just staying on the only topic that you're talking about.
That's correct. I agree with practically everything you said, and I thank you for your input. I really do. But I would like to get some input from the lawyer's office just to be sure, to be confident.
About the location?
You're welcome to send an email to us, and
we'll be confident,
and we can forward your
that
concerns on to the lawyer's office.
The lawyer does agree with everything that it would be. There's no reason to complicate this matter, but you know, I would like to know that legally that all of our subcommittees are doing things correctly. And part of my concern about, I'm going to say this politely, part of my concern about when I recognize the need for training within committees, commissions, boards, what have you, is that I have seen obvious infractions, and I want to make sure we're not crossing any line with that. So if you,
Yeah,
please,
like I
if you,
said-
if you could visit with Mr. Hyde.
Yeah, just,
And
we'll get
just
with
let us
him
know.
and,
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to send an email so that way you have it in writing, so that,
However you want to do it. I think an email to the whole commission would be fine, fantastic.
Okay.
That this is the
so you're just,
legally the
you just
proper
want us
way,
to
the
ask
best
him
way.
about the conditions with the subcommittee meeting, correct? I just want
Only
to
a
make sure.
subcommittee meeting, should they be in a public place. They don't need to be posted. You don't need
No, I know,
72
for sure,
hours,
I know they
24
don't
hours.
have to be
Those kind of notices, you don't need all that, but should they be in a public place? Because I have been in subcommittee meetings that were attended by members of the public.
Okay, so you basically just want to know, can we meet at somebody's home, or does it need to be a
Correct.
public place?
Correct.
Or like on city
Or
grounds?
at the annex building or something, because that's the first that comes to mind for
Coffee
me.
shop, a Sonic.
Okay.
Whatever it
We
is, you know.
can do that.
I'd be surprised if we don't already have that.
We probably do. I don't, I'm sure that we do. I just don't have the capability of pulling all of that up right now, so.
Okay. Miss, Mr. Hines, are you going to nominate yourself, or do you want us to nominate you? Because I know this has been a passion for you, and I know that you really want
I
to,
would prefer
and I think you have the time,
Hey, Mr.
Somebody
Hines.
else nominate me.
because I know you have the time, correct? Like, we've kind of talked about this.
I'll make the time.
Okay, so I guess we're going to
I'll
nominate
nominate.
Mr. Hines for our first position.
Yes.
Do I need to make a motion, et cetera, do it that way to nominate someone, or do we just appoint? How do we? Okay, so
Yeah.
Ms. Beaver, you officially made a motion
I
to nominate Mr.
officially-
Hines for one of the 3 seats for the subcommittee for P&Z training and onboarding. Okay? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I think. Yeah, I think Dodd was the second.
Okay, I guess we'll,
Dodd.
okay. So, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. I think it's a unanimous aye. Okay, so we have Mr. Hines for seat 1. Okay, Ms. Dodd, question, comments, nominations, volunteer? Nothing. Okay.
I would like to nominate Ms. Fishbeck.
Ms. Fishback, do you accept nomination? You have some time, you're able to work?
That's the question, right? What is going to be the time commitment? Because that would be an issue for me if it's a lot.
I've done some research and found examples to work from, so we're not going to be recreating any kind of wheel. So there's some good documents to draw from. And so the first one, probably 2 hours. I'm thinking 2 hours, we'll just limit it to whatever it is. And if it winds up taking 3 or 4 months because of our schedules, then that's what it takes. I would just like to be able to target something coming in, by the end of the year to be usable toward the first of the year.
You're looking at once,
Or,
twice a month?
or maybe-
Is that it yet?
I know we're coming up on Thanksgiving and Christmas and all that sort of stuff. So it's just whatever, as best we can make it work.
With subcommittees, can they talk, text, email, phone call? Does it have to meet in person? So, I mean, really, you guys could be like brainstorming sessions, Google Chats for all I know, right? So that is an option.
Again, as long as you are not creating a walking quorum or a quorum.
So that might be easy to do too. Like, hey, I have a random thought.
What could be?
My subcommittees for the
this.
Housing Commission in San Antonio, they meet virtually.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's lots of
We did a lot of Zoom.
ability to
You would
work
just have to
within
make
your-
sure that you're not then CCing other commissioners that are not on the subcommittee, anything of that nature.
Yeah, but
So,
I mean, if you can
like,
text or Google Chats, I might even do it that way.
You guys will notice when I send your agendas, I always BC you.
Problem, then I may have to withdraw, but for now, like,
Okay, so
I'll second that then.
we have who made the motion? You did, Ms. Garcia. Motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 I went out of turn.
Okay, so we have Hines, Fishback, and who is our third? Nope. Ms. Hubbard? Wait, we can pull from, oh yeah, because you are an alternate, yeah.
Yeah, she's
We
on-
can,
She's on a few.
no, you're already on a few, your plate's full. I know, my plate's kind of full right now. Okay. Well, yeah, technically we could have 2. Yeah, we could just have the two.
Yeah, and all it is creating a plan.
Mimicking
a
what you've
guideline,
kind of
bringing it
already
back,
found.
back to commission, and commission reviews it, and then go back and play with it some more and bring it back to commission. I want to recommend Mr. Thompson right now, because there's a possibility of doing this virtually. Even I know how to use Microsoft Teams.
Would you be willing, Mr. Thompson?
If you know, we want to make it work. So if you can't, that's okay. If you think you can, then.
And it can be.
Do we have to come back and vote for a third member? Or sorry, you said. Okay, never mind. We have a motion.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion, and who second?
Second. I second.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Okay, so you all can work some of that out, and we'll probably, would we just keep an agenda item kind of open for check-ins over the next couple months?
So on the other committees, when they have subcommittees, they'll usually just create a line item that says, you know, discussion from subcommittee or something of that nature.
Okay, as long as that's put in there for next month, and then whatever. Okay, next we have item 10. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Item 9, UDC CIP Master Plan and Staff Updates.
Good evening, Commissioners. As far as the stuff update for current site plans that are in review, they include 504 File Road, which is for a tattoo studio, Dorado Multifamily, it's a multifamily development, 108 Cibolo Drive for the animal shelter, Cibolo Creek Center is for a gas station. We currently do not have any recently approved site plans. Plats that are under review include Homestead Cibolo Unit 1 and Unit 2, which were on the agenda today for final plats. 504 File Road, 304 South Main Street, and 102 Short Street are all minor plats that are being administratively reviewed right now. As far as recent P&Z recommendations that have received council action, the Old Wiederstein self-storage facility, which P&Z recommended approval on the August 14th meeting, the City Council tabled. It will be heard again at the October 15th meeting. Buffalo Crossing 2, Knights Crossing Phase 2, the preliminary plat that you recommended approval, did receive approval by council at the meeting of September 24th, as did Saddle Creek Ranch Unit 9A final plat, which you also recommended approval and council approved at their September 24th meeting. Also, if in case you didn't see it, Kelsey did send out an email today to all the commissioners. If you haven't heard, she did put in her resignation. She will be leaving the city the 18th. It will be her final day, Friday the 18th. And I also submitted my resignation. My last day will be the 25th of this month. Aaron Spencer, who you're very familiar with, who oversaw the process for the comprehensive sign program, has accepted the position to take over the assistant director position. And the planning director position has been advertised, and they are already accepting applications. And the city manager should be starting interviews shortly.
For now, Mr. Spencer is instead of emailing Kelsey, my 1,000 questions, I'm sending it to Aaron. Is that correct?
Aaron will be the most senior person there. He'll be the assistant planning director.
And I can still message you guys as well.
And Grant and Lindsay will.
Okay, but is the preference to go, when we have questions, do we primarily go to Mr. Spencer, or doesn't even matter?
You can send it to Aaron.
Okay, Gotcha, okay.
Well, good luck on your new
Thank you.
job,
I
and
will
we'll
be
miss you.
going to the city of Leon Valley as their planning director.
Well, good luck on that.
Thank you. I appreciate
We
it, and
are
I've
gonna miss
enjoyed
you.
working with all of you, and I will miss you.
It's boo to you and congratulations to you. I really, really, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Really enjoyed
Out
the
east somewhere.
opportunity to
Like not
be a
Houston, but
team member
somewhere.
with you.
Likewise. Thank you.
Gotcha. Okay. That is everything for that. Items for future agendas. Do we have anything? Because I don't, now that the subcommittee and training stuff's kind of, nope. Okay. Adjournment then. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. The time is 8:51. Can I get a second?
I second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Hey.
Aye.
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 All right, we're adjourned.